Well, hey everyone, it's the Eurobandit here once again. And now I decided that it's finally time to do a stereo collection update, because it sure has been almost a year since I've done a update lately, so it's really been finally time to do one. And whatever you saw in a previous update and isn't mentioned or shown in this video means that it's sold. So it could be a receiver or a cassette deck or whatever. Now, over the time I bought quite a few things that I didn't show on video, but I did sell the Pioneer SX1080 receiver and I did replace it with something else, which we're gonna see pretty soon. And the Senio DCX 3300 KB is also sold, as well as one of my Marantz 5220 cassette decks. I still have the mint one, the American model. The European model is sold because it wasn't in that great condition, but I got its work and all that. It wasn't a big deal, and I sold that thing. Those were some of the things I sold. And now let's get to the update. Here's my current main setup. As you can see, my current main receiver is a Akai AA1175, the same receiver I bought over a year ago, and you know, I had it sitting around for a very long time. I finally decided to take it out not so long ago, and I did clean it properly. As you can see, it's all nice and clean. The knobs, patch and switches are cleaned and lubricated. Now they re-glue this plexiglass cover. Seems to work fine. This is my main cassette deck, Pioneer CT720. I purchased this thing quite a while ago. I love this thing. It's beautiful, it's direct drive and it's very nice, stable, sounds amazing. And the Z3 EM12 speakers are my main speakers, as you can see. Still have the Pioneer PL510A as my main and only turntable. I'm not gonna sell this thing, it works just perfectly. Still have the Akai 4000DS that I'm not gonna sell either. And here's the American Marantz 5220, as you can see. It's made in Japan, but it's, you know, 110 volts model for North America, as well as this Akai GXC730D that I bought quite a while ago, and it's been mentioned in my previous stereo collection update videos. And as you can see, I still got this Hitachi HTA4000 receiver. I haven't done anything to it, and I don't know how long it's gonna sit here, but I think it's gonna be a while more. And as well as the Hitachi DA5S cassette deck that's matching it. It's a nice cassette deck, but it's not working either, so oh well. Planning to fix it up, or at least try and sell the thing. And I also bought this Technics cassette deck. Model name is RSM65. Can't see a whole lot because it's stored in here for now. I bought this thing quite recently, not so long ago. Still got these JVC SP55 speakers. I don't think I'm gonna sell those speakers. They sound amazing. They're not high-end and whatnot, they're just good speakers. I just love the sound of these things, and in the future I might probably build new boxes for them, because the original boxes are quite worn out, you know, especially in the corners, but we'll see. The covers are also worn out, they look terrible. But yeah, they've been sitting here for I don't know, probably 2 years or so, because I don't use them since I bought my Z3 EM12 speakers. And I found these Philips speakers at the thrift store. I got the model name, but they're wrapped just to keep them, you know, away from the dust. And I bought this Pioneer SX434 receiver. Not sure if I'm gonna keep it or not. And I bought a Hitachi SR2000, and believe it or not, this was my dream receiver for a very long time ago, because there's a very interesting story between me and this model, which I'm gonna tell you in the future, in one of my future vlogs. And take a look at this receiver. Yeah buddy, what is it? Well, it's a Pioneer model SX1250, as you can clearly see. This was also my dream receiver. This has been my dream receiver for 4 years, and I finally bought one last year actually. Before the Christmas I bought it, and I've paid 1,400 euros for it. This was pretty decent priced. I'm never gonna sell this thing, that's for sure. I love it. And not so long ago I bought this Kenwood KA 1500 stereo amplifier from the 70s, and the Pioneer CX999 have been turned into a redneck car speaker box. And I also found these Sonics AS270 stereo speakers at the thrift store quite a while ago. I don't like the sound of them, they're pretty crappy, but I bought them because they look pretty fancy and they try to be something that they aren't, you know. They're kinda half decent speakers that try to be high-end and all that. You can see this power line display bullshit. Very fancy, as you can clearly see. And I also bought that Philips radio over there. It's a beautiful radio. I love it. It's my very first so-called antique radio. I think it's from the 1960s, I'm not sure. And here's something I've owned for quite a while, but I've never shown on video. It's a little Gold Star portable radio, cassette recorder, player type of thing. I found this almost for free at the thrift store. I paid like €1 for it. It's alright. Here's something I probably never show you on video either. It's a Fisher boombox. I might do a overview of this thing as well. I removed the entire cassette compartment because everything was worn out. The belts were deteriorated, the motors didn't work, and they made an annoying sound, so I wanted to modify this thing, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Speakers are alright, but man, this thing sounds horrible. And it claims to be a fancy high-end boombox, which is not. It's all plastic crap, but oh well. In this dark corner I still have this fancy Technics receiver from the mid-80s, the SA350. I did a video of this thing. I tried to, you know, save it because it got smashed by the post, unfortunately. This thing is just a modern piece of crap. It's not even worth mentioning on video, but you know, it's just a smashing material together with the all-in-one stereo bullshit on the bottom of it. It's just a matter of time before this thing and that thing down there will get smashed. What do we got over here? Now, what on earth is this, you might wonder? Actually, a few days ago I saw an auction on the internet. They were 29 cassette decks. He's an elderly guy who has more projects and he's very busy with his company and he basically doesn't have time, so he ended up taking 3 pictures of all this pile, as you can see on video. Let's back up to see everything. See, now you can see all the cassette decks. Beautiful, some of them are even very rare and high-end. Basically, he doesn't know which one works, which one doesn't. Some of them are incomplete. They're all in various conditions and some work, others don't. I bought all these cassette decks, 29 pieces in total, what you can see in this pile, 29 pieces, for only 100 euros. Believe it or not, and it was far away. And I had to drive to Göteborg, which is about close to 500 kilometers from here. But it doesn't matter, does it? The price was very good. I just couldn't freaking refuse it, and plus I love to drive. I drove 1000 kilometers in total that day. Now let's go through all of them. Let's start from here. This is a Hitachi. Seems to be direct drive. Model name D330M. Unfortunately, nothing happens when I insert the cassette and hit play or whatever, so that's why I hate this computerized cassette decks. It's all nice when they work and all that, but once they go bad, it's a pain in the ass, or sometimes even impossible to fix them. Here's a Sanyo, model name RD41UM. Nothing you see every day. It's a beautiful cassette deck, as you can see. Not sure if it's working or not. And down here I have a Pioneer CT300 basic cassette deck from the early 80s. Here's a Swedish cassette deck. It's a Luxor Power 9204. Nothing you see every day either. It's a very nice cassette deck. Computerized obviously, but it looks nice. Unfortunately it has a big dent over here, which I don't like, but There's nothing I can do about it. Starting from this one, so down here are the cheap and basic crappy cassette decks. This is a Proton AD200. Not even worth mentioning, to be honest, but I hope it works so I can sell it as quickly as possible. And here's a Toshiba. It's more IC logic control, model PC G33, as you can see. Looks very interesting. Here's a eject button, and this tray is very big. Quite unnecessary for a tray to be this big, but seems to be nice and service friendly, even though it's cheap, plasticky and basic cassette deck, but if it works, it's not a problem. Here's an Akai, model name CSF14. Doesn't appear to be working. This eject button was inside of it. I just put it back, as you can see. Actually, it's the power button. Oh, this is the actual eject button. Not sure if it's working or not, but we'll see. And down here is a Sharp, model name RT350. Can't take metal tapes. Nice and basic cassette deck. This is one of the very few cheap and basic cassette decks that actually looks decent. And it appears to be service friendly as well, but man, it looks cheap. And here's a Philips, model name N2511. This thing doesn't seem to be working. It does light up if I plug it in, but it doesn't play the tape, so I think that the bells are worn out. And the issue is that it doesn't have regular RCA outputs on the backside. See? And therefore I wouldn't be able to try out even if it would be working. And here I got a Blaupunkt Audiotron AC600, extremely rare, very rare to find. It's almost impossible to find one, unless you're in Germany, of course. But even there I think they're very rare and uncommon. Not really sure if it's working or not. I think it needs a bit of service, but I hope I can get it to work, because it looks beautiful and it's almost in mint condition. And here's a fancy, more expensive cassette deck. This is a T8 model A420. Here's the eject button. As you can see, never seen that on a cassette deck before, but it's quite nice and unusual. Beautiful view meters, they're nice and big. This thing appears to be working. Well, it does play the tape. The last one replaced the belts, but it doesn't make any sound. The only sound that comes out of it is a 50 Hz tone. Here we have a JVC KD35. This thing's all nice. I really like it. I like the brass aluminum. It really looks great. Not sure if it's working or not. I do have another one. Does have typical scratches on the cover, and this is a very fancy cassette deck. It's a Herman Kardon model HK 1500. Seems to be all nice. I really like it, but I don't like the faceplate. It's quite cheap. It's very thin aluminum glued to the plastic itself, and well, as you can see, it's quite loose. So it's pretty cheap build quality when it comes to the faceplate, at least. Not sure about the rest, but we'll see. And down here we have a JVC model name CDS2000. These aren't all that common either. The cover for the door itself appears to be missing, and the play key is missing as well, and the last owner installed a screw in here. Quite fancy. Down here we have a Philips model N543 hi-fi cassette deck. Appears to be from the late 70s or very early 80s. It seems to be in great condition, and I really hope it works. If it works, I'll even keep it, because it does have regular connectors on the back sides. This is an Alpage FL5100. Quite nice looking cassette deck. It's all great. think it's not working, but these things are quite expensive from what I know. And Alpage is the same brand as Alpine, still made in Japan, like most of my cassette decks. This is a Technics, model name 631, and it has indeed seen better days, because as you can see it's full of scratches and dings and dents and whatever you can imagine. But if it functions, it's all nice. And it will be a perfect cassette deck for you guys who like patina, because nowadays it appears to be very popular for something to be worn out and all that. It's an art nowadays. I find it very hard to understand, but I might even be able to sell this thing and list it out as a patina thing. Here's a Sony. The model name is TC-U2. It's a basic cassette deck, incomplete even inside. The motor is not in place and some parts are missing from the inside, so there's no way I can get this thing to work, but it will pretty much serve as a parts cassette deck for the other ones. Down here we have a Luxor, another Swedish made cassette deck. And I actually have the buttons and the screws and all that inside of this thing, so I hope I can get this thing to work. Seems like the eject mechanism needs a bit of lubrication. And down here is a NAD, model name 6040, as you can see. Unfortunately has a big crack on the view meter, doesn't look all that nice, as you can see, but if it works I shall be able to replace it with a plexiglass piece or whatever I can find. We'll see. That of course if it works, otherwise I'll not bother. But it's a typical NAD, typical design with these buttons and all that. Doesn't look all too bad. And down here is a Sankyo STD 1800 stereo cassette deck. Seems to be from the late 70s, I guess. Nice view meters. Again, brands. Not sure if they came up with it, but they're pretty common on the brands. But this thing looks great. It has an output level, which I really like. And I'm not sure if this thing's working or not, but these Sankyos are pretty damn rare and they do cost quite a bit. Not sure also how to play the eject bullshit, but I'll figure it out eventually. Down here we have a Pioneer CTF2121 cassette deck. I really like it. This thing's from the late 70s as well. Looks beautiful. And here's a Dux, model name 3390, Swedish made cassette deck. That seems to be incomplete as well, so we'll see. It might serve for parts if it doesn't work. Here's an Akai CS707D. This thing behaves very weirdly when I press the play button. It goes all crazy, so it has a major electrical problem. This wooden cover appears to be in great condition. Here's another JVC KD35, and we have two of these. This thing is in great condition as well. In fact, it's even in better condition than the other one I showed you earlier. Here are some Akai cassette decks. This one is the GXE 704D. Plastic faceplate. I think it's plastic. Quite a cheap feeling, but still looks decent. Has a huge scratch over here. It sucks, but oh well. And down here is a CS702D Mark II. Looks great. And down there is another CS702D Mark II. They're both the same model. They look great. And I'm glad that I actually have the same model, because one might donate parts to another one. And see, this fuel meter looks bad, but on the other one it's all nice. The other one is actually in much better condition than this one, so I could make a mint looking cassette deck out of both of these things. a GXC 730D. Not sure if it works or not, but the eject button seems to be bent pretty badly, so I have another one of these things that I bought quite a few years ago, so if anything's needed, this thing can serve parts for my other one, but I don't think it needs any parts because it works perfectly. Yeah, that's about it. The cover of it looks bad, so if I can get this thing to work, I can take the cover from this thing. It seems to fit without the problem, so we'll see. Still got this little amplifier, the UC U2, as you can see. Haven't done anything to it. I was supposed to recap the thing, but I just left it the way it is and think it's gonna be a future project. Still got this Swedish made Soneb OA5 speakers. There's the other one. And quite a while ago I found this little tuner from Technics, model name STC01, as you can see. Must be from the early 80s. This thing is small but very heavy for its size, so it's well built. I did try it out, it sounds great. It's pure Japanese quality. Technics did quite a few small stereo units that sounded way better than many of their full-size ones, so I'm very impressed with this thing. It's actually listed out. I found this thing at the thrift store, I don't know, more than a year ago, I guess. But never planned to keep it. It's already listed, I already got a bid. And something I like about this thing is that the connections, such as the outputs and the antenna connectors, are all gold plated. That's something you don't see every day. But anyway, that's pretty much it for this time. Hope you liked this video. If you did, why not? Thumbs up. Check out my videos, and if you like what I'm doing, why not subscribe? And I'll see you next time.